just pull this out. Okay. Oh, I think you need to grant screen access. Yeah.
Yes, I will make you a host. And then you will have power.
Thanks. Okay, so here we go. All right, so the sort of exciting news for me recently is that we just published the source code, and so this is sort of an overview of it. It has lots of links to different places, and let's see. And interestingly, I thought a lot about this, like what kind of ecosystem we want. We have this kind of like non-commercial, non-violent public license, which is a little it is non-traditional, but what it basically does is it builds an open source community around the philanthropic aspect of it. And then on the corporate side, for corporations pay licensing fees, and that pays for additional work to be done that feeds the philanthropic loop. And so it's this kind of like double loop kind of idea. Also added this nonviolent clause because I feel like this is it's basically like social coordination software. And this is the exact kind of thing that is perfect for organizing like a militia. And so I wanted to be clear that that's not what we're giving free licenses for at the moment. And this is the kind of thing.
Pay a tax for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not, that's not what it's meant for. It's meant to help people build things and to do that in a sustainable way. So that's kind of like, that's the code base. And then, while we're here on the code base part, we were talking a bit about like security tokens and things. And we've built out a Comakery security token framework that plugs into the platform that does all the transfer restrictions so that you can enforce AML KYC, or you can do interesting things like these tokens can only be sent to regulated exchanges that then are allowed to only sell to Reg S non-US approved purchasers.
Cool. And this is on Algorand or?
This is on Ethereum. The first version is on Ethereum, and there's a company called Vayview that's a Wyoming corporation that tokenized their stock using this. They were sort of the original sponsor for it. Cool. But this model is the model that we worked with the Algorand Foundation to build a version of. So we took this and we built the Algorand token. We're currently adding the signatures into the signing capability, hot wallets into the platform, so that that you can do the same thing with Algorand. And the platform allows you to like establish transfer restrictions on the tokens and sort of modify those and allow people to opt in to approve people to receive the tokens. So yeah, we've got some pretty, this is being used for the Republic note token. We're essentially the back end, and that's going to be a fairly complicated lift because we need to get like 200,000 users wallets that are easy to interact with, where people, there is key recovery. And so we're working with, do you know this company, Icon? They're like they're a wallet service that integrates into websites. So we're connecting the Republic website, the Comakery platform, Icon, and on top of Algorand to deliver that as like a full thing. So lots of moving pieces there. And this is the main instance of Comakery right now is this one, and there's a Republic, what's it called, token demo. This is the staging server for that. We do also have like a white label branded version for Republic that sort of strips out the rest of the interface, so it's more just the token administration piece. And this is sort of the main site. We've been working with a few different groups. This is more this is like Open Climate Collabothon, which you were a part of, and toolkits for truly peer-to-peer economy. This is mostly like Commons Engine related stuff, and Comakery ecosystem, some work with Stanford Codex around a bunch of different working groups that we may bring back and integrate into the SF Legal Hackers group, which is like a group of lawyers and one of the lawyers, technologies, policymakers. So there's a few different topics here that are pretty interesting, especially this automated autonomous legal entities. This is one of the more interesting ones. So this allows people to sort of show up and indicate that they're interested in participating in this group. And if we get enough interest here, then we'll start contacting people and pulling them into working together on things. So that's some of the projects. I'm going to jump over to the demo server. And I think we're going to, yeah, since we're on the demo server, this is actually our development server. It should be called dev. So there's a few things that are in progress. So I'll point those out as we go along. So at the whole idea is that we break down the work inside of a community into missions, and then there are projects, and then inside of the projects there are tasks that are associated with that project. The tasks are in batches, and so you can do different things with batches of tasks. Just for clarity, RedGrid isn't actually on the platform. It's just on the demo server. If I sign in, let's see, there's a few different ways to sign in. You can sort of like limit access to things via Slack, Discord, Slack or Discord groups. There's also a MetaMask login. And so I'm just gonna log in with my Comakery Slack. Okay, so I'm seeing a whole bunch of tasks. These are being streamed from projects that I'm a part of. You can see a lot of test data here, but so if I go, I can look at, let's see, this. Yeah, if I go to something like this one, Cardano Adoption Project. So there's a number, oops, sorry. There's a number of tasks on this page that are associated with this. I can go in and see the details for the task, expected benefit, description, the sort of typical task management. I have some larger thoughts about bounties in general and how to kind of break out of the bounty mindset, but this is a task, and there's a task system where you can create different tasks. You can assign them to specific people. You can clone them. And interestingly, you can do things like create a task. It can be done a certain number of times. Like it can be done 100 times. It will only be done like 2 times by one person or 1 time by one person. So if you want to do something that's very repetitive, it has the facility for doing that. So like, hey, we want 20 people to go down to this location and verify it, and they have to be different people.
Yeah.
You could combine, like a verified identity, like to avoid Sybil activity, and specify how you're going to go down and confirm that do a confirmation style task. So that's that. They go through different states of ready, started, submitted, accepted, paid, rejected, canceled, and this is just sort of like typical task management workflows. I'll go over here to show you.
Is there integration with like backwards with a Git, GitHub or GitLab?
Not yet. That is like number one requested. Well, it's pretty high on the list. Requested feature is GitHub integration, and right now what you're seeing is lots of tasks. The direction we're going is hooks. So GitHub pull request hooks. Probably some input for commits, integration with things like Discourse servers where you can track how much interaction people are having. So this kind of like ambient level of tracking. And so that's one direction. The other direction is like our tracking of tasks. I actually am really, even though this is a bounty system, I'm actually not a big fan of bounties because I think it's very difficult to pre-specify work.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, that's it's so much work to get things to that
yeah,
level that
and
it's,
people
yeah.
just don't. It's hard for project managers to understand how much effort that it actually is, or I should say, it's difficult to get people to commit to that. And there's always unknown unknowns, and it's almost an impossible problem. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's weird building a bounty system coming from like 10 years of extreme programming, where the whole mantra is like build a thing at the top of the queue and like change it all the time and make sure that you're integrating the feedback. Whereas a lot of the sort of like proposal-based systems that we have right now, or the bounty systems, sort of infer this idea of perfect knowledge about the future, and they create these kind of like waterfall processes that aren't that great. So we're moving away from that, but the initial iteration that we had is more of like a bounty system, and so we also have an API. Let's see, I think I have to. This URL changed from the one I just grabbed. This is V1. Yeah, so we have pretty deep API down to the level of with appropriate credentials, you can set one up where like everything is automated, and this just shows up as like a backend or administrative system where you can even create accounts on behalf of people and put in their AML KYC information and such, and it just becomes like a sort of like backend server where administrators can go in and see what tokens have been distributed. Yeah, you can see the endpoints are like transfer rules and account token records and things like that. Blockchain transactions. There's a lot of work that we put into like updating blockchain transactions and getting those to sync. So this is, let's see, go back to, let me go back here. Is this an interesting project? Yeah, so we're just about to roll this out. The design here is not cleaned up yet, but you can see what we're doing. Maybe I should get one with more history. I think this one has a decent number of transfers on it. So if I go to the transfers page here, I'll see, yeah, I can start to see like, oh, we had this many of transfers in 2018, this many in 2019. We're building this like categorization system around the types of transfers. You can see like bought and earned, or you can add like custom types where you can like add, you know, different transfer types and do that kind of categorization. Some pretty deep reporting around like, have they been created? Have they been transferred yet? And also around like whether or not, like you can do things like which of these transfers that are pending have we not confirmed AML KYC for yet? Which ones has the AML KYC failed on, or do we not have a wallet for these for someone, and that would block the transference? So you can do all those kinds of things. But if I look
just as a quick reflection, what is occurring to me as an interesting fit for the existing structure of this, the bounty structure and this existing reporting structure that we've been running in a sort of bespoke way, and I know lots of groups are in the Cosmos ecosystem, is around running test nets.
Yeah.
And the incentivized testnet process where you have an on-chain record of the tasks that you're doing, and you need to do sort of like an accounting of that, and then an exchange of the tokens that you've promised for that. And there's also a KYC element. It's basically the same. It's very, I mean, it is, you know, we've just been running that on our own, but it seems as though that would be a really tight match and might be an interesting community. I mean, that might be something to talk more about, because I'm very connected with because we've been running lots of test nets. Lots of people have started coming to us because we did it pretty well. So there's kind of like a whole world there that's an interesting potential use case.
So what are the tasks that end up being necessary
Well, there are
for?
things like, like vote, go through the upgrade process,
Yep.
Send a transaction,
Yep. Totally. Yep. Perfect.
these sorts of things that are just like, we want you test this function, do that. It's making sure people know how to run the software and do a simple task. It's all very, and it shows up on the ledger of the test net, which can get pulled and reported on.
Yeah, so this reminds me a lot of this set of tasks for the Comakery project, which is just like the onboarding tasks that we have set up for the platform, which are set up your MetaMask wallet, set up your Comakery profile, watch the Comakery how-to video. But you go into here and it tells you like what you should do. And then when you're done with the task, it asks you to submit some proof of that, which could be, it could be like, it can just be like a blockchain. It can be a URL to an Explorer, for instance, and then someone can come in and confirm it. So I think that it sounds really similar. This is kind of like the templated tasks idea.
Yeah, well, it's less about like a group of people like co-creating the software functionality together, and it's more about building a capability in a discrete group of people to run a distributed system together, basically.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yep. I think what we have is really suitable for that. If there's folks who need to do that, need a system for doing that, I think this would be a good.
Yeah, I'll have to scratch my head. I mean, we are gonna run a test, one more test net. We're also going to be running a test net for the Cosmos, or a test net will happen for the Cosmos Hub. And then, there's groups all over. Cosmos is nothing but a series of people launching these, autonomous chains. They got to bootstrap every one. You got to get a community of people to like run the software and go through the process, do tests,
awesome.
integrations, all these things. So it just sort of like a brainwave thought for you that there might be, and I'd be happy to sort of support some conversations there and maybe even think together about that. I mean, yeah.
Cool. That's really neat. I mean, one of the main reasons that I was really excited to open up the code base is that we want to add more chains essentially, and we don't yet have like a Cosmos integration, but it should be pretty easy to add in. We've added a lot of like on production. Am I logged in right now? I don't seem to be logged in. Well, anyway, I'll just I should log into production and show you what tokens we have. But yeah, we have a lot of different. We've integrated a number of different chains. So we have Ethereum, which is probably where most of the activity is.
Yeah.
But along the way, we also we integrated Tezos, Cardano. I mean, obviously, we're about to add Algorand and Bitcoin, a few other ones. So in the token admin, we can come in here and just add these different tokens so they can be used in projects for payment, and then we basically can say what's the payment type. Oh, we added Quantum. Those guys have not been doing that well lately. Kind of dropped off the map. But yeah, we added all these different things, and then of course our custom Comakery security token. We can kind of add these kinds of integrations, and all we need is like the signature method, a way to get the information from an Explorer, and then we can integrate it into the platform. I would love to do that with Cosmos. Is sort of the long story short. Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Well, and I could, there may be potential that we could, I mean, I don't want to make promises, but we are in a really good relationship with the Interchain Foundation. And if we have sort of clear roadmap support and thinking about like how this is going to benefit the community, it's possible, to be thinking about putting in a proposal, to do integrations and maybe, you know, specific work to do, for instance, testnet support for the Cosmos SDK or something like that, where
Yep.
where Regen and Comakery are sort of specifically like, you know, at whatever point in our mutual development cycles we can actually find the time to do it, we're sort of like doing a cycle and shipping something that the whole community can just integrate with, and just like, it would, I have to say, I think it would help enormously the process. And that's one of the big bottlenecks in the Cosmos ecosystem, is it's really hard to bootstrap a network. And the whole value proposition is that people, in order to align incentives right, you actually need to give people the ease and tools to bootstrap their own network with their own governance. At least the optionality needs to be there, if not exercising that optionality as like a fundamental part of, you know, how this actually plays out. And okay, you know, you can have all of the, you know, you can have all the consensus algorithm, and you can have all the security and robustness and rigor in a decentralized system, but if a group of people simply can't bootstrap their, you know, blockchain into existence because the hurdle of the social coordination is too high, well, then the value proposition doesn't really work.
Yep. Yeah, you know, a lot of this work where it was going was this, the bounty system idea for us was around this idea of like templatizing projects. So you could clone, you can see it in the structure of these tasks, like you could clone batches of tasks, and then you'd say, okay, it's time to launch this, and these are all tasks that can be done in parallel. So it was around these kind of like swarm, highly specified swarm tasks. And so that was the original concept in this direction. We never got to the templating part, but actually that's probably it's like the last mile. So that could be really helpful for bootstrapping networks generally, and different Cosmos networks specifically. Wow. Okay, cool. That's a great idea. The other thing that is, so as we add more of the sort of next round of integrations, we've got a few coming in.
Just to flag, Polkadot might also be interested in this sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
Just to say, they have a similar thing. You know, if somebody's going to run up a parachain or something, how do you engage your community to like do that? And it's a little different security model than Cosmos, but it may be related enough that could be just like a approximate market for you to be thinking about. So.
Okay, wow, that's super helpful. Thank you. That's really a good idea. Yeah, okay. So I think, I guess I didn't walk through was like, there's also like on the account side, we also have an API that we can hit to add in AML KYC information. So you can know whether or not people are verified. And right now, when you do transfers, for the Ethereum, on the Ethereum side of things, you just, you can go through the transfers, and you just pay these things using MetaMask. I don't think you can see the pop-up window just came up, but you can do these with MetaMask, and then you end up with with these things being paid on the blockchain. I think this is it's looking on the wrong network because I'm in demo. It's probably on Ropsten. Yeah, there's the transaction. So so you can do those integrations also through the API that we were looking at. You can pull down the transactions. There's a queuing system. You can pull them down and build a wallet to send the transfers off, and then post the transaction back into the accounting system, and that allows for like batch transactions and things like that. So for Algorand, also for Ethereum, I think there's another. I think that those will end up yeah, we'll have like templates for building those wallets out. So once those are built, is actually probably a good time to. It would make building the Cosmos one like way easier, because we're just basically like, here's the JavaScript wallet, modify these values, and you'll be able to like use this hot wallet to send the transactions that are in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably good. I'll just mention, I also have this like forum I just stood up. This is, like I literally just published this code last Friday, so I'm starting to build a community around it. If you want to come chat with people, it's a good place to stir up discussion. Yeah, it's probably decent tour. I'm sure there's more I could tell you, but it's probably a good overview.
Are you the sort of how many other folks are working with you on the code base right now?
There's like we've got 2 other like permanent people working all the time, myself, and then we pull in various people at different times to work on things depending on project scale. Yeah, so that's where we are right now.
And where are you sort of hoping to go? Sort of you've open sourced with a conditional license the code base, so people can just sort of like pull it and rock and roll.
Yeah.
You're sort of partnering on being the backend for the Republic note and some other cool sort of like using this functionality in different ways, it seems like.
Yeah.
Where are you sort of hoping to go, sort of business development wise, and like where are you wanting it to grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the time you kind of build something and you start to see like usage patterns, and see what people are actually using things for. And I think the thing that's most interesting to me is for the Comakery, what's built there already, the Comakery platform is around like integrating token administration into these various types of workflows, but also having enough of a front end that the community can kind of build around these things, so you can have more transparent distribution of tokens and task integration. I think that there's a risk. Do you remember a company called Assembly a long time ago? They built something really similar in like 2014. And was complete with a number of different things that are sort of like finally coming into fruition now, about 6 years too early. When I talked to them, I was like, "Hey, what happened?" Because they shut down, and Matt, their CEO, was like, "Oh yeah, we tried to boil the ocean." So I think one of the things I'm always trying not to do is trying not to boil the ocean, but I understand what the full operating system is, which is governance, reputation, token administration, and then integration with these decentralized systems. And so I want to find partnerships that are around the governance piece, and probably contribute to the reputation piece. And even though this has this sort of like limited licensing model, the intent is to spin out a lot of sub-modules that are reusable as more permissive open source, particularly like around reputation. The security token is MIT licensed. I could see some additional governance experiments, but the idea is kind of similar to what you're doing, which is like we have this core code base, we're accumulating more open source around it, consulting, and then doing some hosting and some selling of the commercial license around Comakery. So it's kind of mixed thing that's like building it as open as possible without like going into poverty. Having some source of revenue. But I think like the consulting, the licensing around the main thing for commercial entities, and then building these other open source libraries to share and collaborate with other communities and build some consulting around is the way we're going.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And are you interested in like working with, I mean, it seems like there's sort of an intersection around your relationship with the Republic, in which you could potentially be getting exposure to projects and be, like sort of like a venture altruist or something like that, like
Right.
where you're accruing some stake in various networks that you sort of,
Yeah.
like do some
Yep.
upfront work to help them bootstrap. You
Yep.
accrue a little bit of, token in exchange. They get access to, whatever the license is, or maybe some custom work, and
Totally.
that sort of
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, and we have done that to a certain extent. Like a lot of the early Republic work was actually altruistic in that way, and we did the same. Actually, like props token. I don't know if you remember that project. It was depending on who you ask, it was either the first or second token to get an A plus Reg A plus registration.
Mm-hmm.
Either them or Blackstack, but they raised on Republic and on AngelList, and we did a mixture of some cash and some tokens in that relationship. So we definitely have that's something that we're into.
Cool.
As long as the bills are paid, it's always about like capacity. It's
Yeah.
like you got to make sure that the base expenses are paid, and then from there you have more flexibility and kind of take more risks and try to get invest into the ecosystem to try to get the whole ecosystem going.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's when you get these tight net groups, like mutual groups, there is a sense in which we've all committed to work together to boil the ocean, if that makes sense. Yeah. You still hearing me?
That was weird. I just kind of rebooted something. Yeah. You said mutualism something. Yeah.
I was just saying that I've thought I have this experience with the Cosmos and Open Team communities, and maybe there's a shared experience with what you're doing that, part of what we have to do is build, like sort of like weave a network that is strong, has enough strength and capability and alignment that you actually do end up boiling the ocean.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's not exceeding your own individual capacity, but helping to coordinate a larger group that has the strength.
Yeah, because the problems that we face, identity, reputation, governance, are not appropriate to be VC backed single solutions. They actually have to emerge out of a community grappling with them, and then emerging and adopting sort of it's not like us standard, but like the spectrum of appropriate responses that kind of all works together. So.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's the exact thing that doesn't get built right now in the sort of traditional VC system, is like all the fascia, like all the interconnecting pieces. It's like it's the opposite of what gets built, because there's this sort of sense of centralizing things towards a single entity. Even though like the VC portfolio as a whole might have all these complementary things, at least the way that people think about things from within the companies is very siloed within that sort of like hard bordered organizations, as opposed to like more permeable membranes.
Yeah. Well, so I'd love to, make a time, if you'd be willing, for you to do a presentation, maybe similar to this, or maybe like we could talk a little bit about the strategies for Open Team, for that community of developers.
Yeah.
The last one that I helped organize, actually, Kevin from Gitcoin did a presentation.
Oh, cool.
And the secretariat there, which is adminning, federally, granted funds. Basically, at this point, like we have a soft commitment, and we're moving forward to try to do a round of like the secretariat backing a round of quadratic funding for.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot of desire and openness for innovation and, like curiosity. So I think it's a cool audience to kind of like communicate things. I would totally value, I mean, there's maybe it even makes sense to do two. I would totally value you sharing some of the more, I mean, it would be really fantastic. At some point, I'm trying to get in sort of like bite-sized and conversational chunks, I'm trying to get that community exposed to these like major problem sets for a distributed and decentralized and open source approach to developing and governing, these sort of fractal information technology networks. And so that would be great. If I had my druthers, I want to cycle certain people who are thought leaders in the space through to talk about that. I also think that there's a really tangible, like clear thing of them seeing the amount of thought and work that you've put into just a Comakery. So that, because they're in the middle of grappling with how do you order and organize collaboration in complex systems. So even just seeing what you've put together and like, oh, this, that, and the other would be probably very mutually beneficial. So
yeah, I think in that spirit is probably a great way to share it, as like, hey, here's what I've done and here's what I've learned along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I sort of, at this stage I like to present it as something that I'm learning from and in the process of evolving. But I certainly have learned a lot in the process of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So if you'd be up for that, that'd be fantastic. And, and as I said, I'd also love to my podcast, I usually do, I try to aim for like a 2-hour long conversation. So long form dialogue, and whatever goes. But my guess is that we would talk about some of the themes that we were getting into this time, and just kind of be able to unpack them in a geeky way more deeply.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I would love to do that. Sounds
cool.
Good.
Yeah, right on. Well, I ought to let you go, and I need to get down to dinner with the fam. But
absolutely. Thanks for the chat. This was really great, and it's nice to have like a little chunk of time with you and to get acquainted.
Yeah, likewise. So I'll just ping you with an email to chat scheduling on those two fronts, and then let's keep a thread going to talk about just sort of mature the conversation about if Comakery might have a future in helping people manage network launches in the Cosmos.
Yeah, I think that seems pretty promising. Yeah.
I honestly think it could be kind of like with minor additions, it could be a really nice, as somebody who's been managing testnets, I'm like, wow, this would be pretty helpful.
Yeah, it fits really well with the thinking that I've been doing, and it's also a great use case. So perfect. Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right. Okay. Have a great night. Talk to you soon. Bye.